coaching extension news in the National Football League. Mike Tomlin, 3-year extension in Pittsburgh. Kevin Stefanski / general manager Andrew Berry signed their extensions in Cleveland. Josh, we got two AFC North coach extensions here.
The Mike Tomlin extension is the one I'm want to focus on more so. Um, because it feels like the Steelers are just kind of satisfied. It almost feels like when who was it? When Jason Garrett was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and they just kept going 8-8 over and over again.
Coach clap. That's why I'm clapping.
Do you get what I'm saying with that? It feels like the Steelers are satisfied. Like, oh, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. And
well, that's been their brand for the last 7 years. Defense first, toughness, culture. We win 9-10 games. We're all satisfied. Then we go to the playoffs. We get blown up by Buffalo, but that's okay. And the Steeler fan base is not okay with that. I have multiple Steeler friends that tell me that, not that Tomlin should get fired because they think Tomlin's a good head coach, but they think that, the brand is stale and they need to get more offensively minded, which Arthur Smith is their new OC. We'll see how that works out. But I think the Steelers have an issue, which is the same issue the Browns have. And that issue is I don't care how good your defense is. I don't care that you have decent weapons. I don't care that your quarterback could be good or pretty good. You're going up against John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens in that division. You're going up against Zach Taylor, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins for this year in the Cincinnati Bengals. Last year, Burrow got hurt and opened the door in my mind for both these teams on the screen, Pittsburgh and Cleveland. If Burrow is healthy and, knock on wood for Baltimore, that Lamar's both of these teams are far behind, in my opinion, Cincinnati and Baltimore, because we know this is a quarterback coach driven league.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at the rest of the AFC, we'll see what Jim Harbaugh does with Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers. You still have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel. We'll see what the New York Jets look like with a healthy Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, but Aaron had to miss mandatory minicamp because he had an obligation. I don't like that. I'll tell you that.
Fair enough. You still have Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You can't just.
No, you can't. I mean, they're going to win games. Probably not going to be as good as they were a year ago, but they're going to win games because they have Josh Allen, a quarterback. It's certainly better than what Pittsburgh has a quarterback. I'll tell you that.
Right. And you still have Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. So think about this. If you were to compare the AFC to a conference outside of the NFL, I would say it's the equivalent of the NBA's Western Conference.
And I would totally agree with that. And Pittsburgh, I don't know what team you would compare them to. Maybe the Lakers, big brand, mediocre, win just enough to get to the playoffs and get bounced in the first round. I mean, that's what it sort of feels like.
Yeah. I don't know which team I would compare the Browns to at the moment. Actually, no, I do know. The LA Clippers.
Well, I think the Clippers are more talented than the Browns. So
yes, but think about this. Kawhi Leonard is their main guy, right? And he's constantly getting injured. Deshaun Watson, he was the big fish that the Browns traded for. Suspension in his first season in Cleveland. Next season, injured. Hasn't been able to stay on the field. So, in that regard, I think the
that's a good point. And here's the thing. I think that, and we'll get to Stefanski in a minute, for Pittsburgh's case, I would not be surprised, even though Mike Tomlin signed this extension. We talked about it, that when you take away the back half of the Steelers' schedule, unless they pull off a miracle, I think this is the year where they don't finish above 500. So if you're going to go off that, I know for a fact, because I listen to a lot of reporters, I hear some inside stuff. I know from what I listen to on a daily basis that Fox Sports had an offer for Mike Tomlin on the table to come to Fox this year and be on their pregame show the way Sean Payton was when he took his gap year if Tomlin was going to leave Pittsburgh. I don't think it's out of the question that even though he signed this contract extension, if things go very south for the Steelers next year, this could be Mike Tomlin's last year in Pittsburgh. There's nothing in that contract extension that makes me think otherwise.
Yeah. Before we get to Kevin Stefanski, let me just say this. I do think it's interesting how it seems like Fox is kind of taking over as like the main broadcast for the NFL. Like Tom Brady, once he retired and decided to go to the broadcast booth, did he go to CBS? No. Did he go to NBC? No. Obviously, he wouldn't go to Thursday Night Football because Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime is total bullshit. And did he go to ESPN? No. He went to Fox. So it's just interesting to me that like Fox seems to have become the like sexy place to go, if you will.
Big brand, studio shows every day. They don't have the NBA. They're not paying a lot for baseball. So in that regard, that's why Fox may have a little more money. CBS pays for March Madness. Obviously, we know what NBC does. With the NFL, and they're getting back into the NBA, right? So that may have something to do with it.
Yes, but and also let me just say this: even though I'm a Browns fan, I don't hate the Pittsburgh Steelers at all. I've had a lot of great conversations with Steelers fans. I've been to the city of Pittsburgh. It's a great city. I've been to a Steelers game. I loved it. So I don't feel like Browns Steelers is a rivalry right now. I have nothing but respect for the Steelers. In my opinion, they are the only team that legitimately has 6 Super Bowls. Sorry, New England. You will never fully get credit for your Super Bowls from me. I don't care. So, yeah.
So, in terms of Cleveland, there's all this sentiment among Browns fans. We have our guy. We finally have stability. I think he's the first coaching extension that this organization has had since Bill Belichick. But I'm here to say, and this is where Josh is a Browns fan, I'm going to disappoint you. I know. And I am viewed as a Browns hater. In my opinion, there is no way the Browns win the AFC North this year. I think the only way it happens is if Burrow and Lamar both get season-ending knee injuries. I think it's more likely the Browns finish 7-10 or below than it is they win the division. I think that schedule is brutal. I think Stefanski was a little bit overrated because of the way that they worked the Flacco injury. I think the Browns need to make some major roster moves, which includes if Deshaun Watson gets another injury, you got to go get another quarterback, and we're not even sure about the Stefanski-Watson relationship. And also, I know all you Browns fans are so excited about Nick Chubb coming back. Your running game, as I've told you multiple times, was fine last year with Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt and the other backs you have. I would have moved off Chubb 2 years ago. I think it is a culture embracement, and I think the Browns are doing this just for continuity's sake, and I think there's a real chance this season goes sideways. And I'm sorry to say that because I know who I'm talking to.
I mean, I'll tell you this. Wasn't going to pick the Browns to win the division anyway. I'm not one of these crazy Browns fans that thinks, oh, we're going to win every game and we're going to win the division. No, I try to keep things realistic and in perspective. That's where you and I are kind of similar. In terms of the division, I think I would give the slight edge to the Baltimore Ravens right now, being that Joe Burrow is coming off of an injury, and we don't know how he's going to be coming into this season as such. But yeah, I'm like, am I excited that Kevin Stefanski got an extension? Yeah, but like, again, Deshaun Watson has not been able to stay on the field for a number of reasons. Again, suspensions, injuries, whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. So, and was it impressive that we still got into the playoffs with Joe Flacco as our quarterback? Yes, it was. But, I mean, you saw what happened in that wild card game against Houston. C.J. Stroud did whatever he wanted. The Browns defense, I think their PlayStation controller got unplugged or something, or they just forgot to turn on the machine. It was something like that. So, and you look at the Browns schedule, I mean, you got Dallas and Jacksonville to start, then you have the Giants, then you have a 3-game road trip, Raiders, Commanders, Eagles, come home for a 3-game homestand, Bengals, Ravens, Chargers, bye week. Yes, I have the whole schedule memorized. And then you have Saints, Steelers, Broncos, Steelers again, Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, Ravens. That's a brutal way to end the season.
It's a hard ass. You want to get off to a good start.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, and then we got to move on.
Yeah. So, if I had to give a record prediction for the Browns right now, I would say 9-8. I think they can.
And I think that's being generous. I think that's giving them some home games that are tough games.
I think they can beat the Chargers at home. Given that the Dolphins game is late in the season,
that's an automatic dub. I will give you that one because it's late in the year.
Yeah. Dallas usually gets off to a bit of a slow start, so I think
I'm giving you that one week 1.
But do I think we can beat Kansas City week 15? No. I think we'll split with Pittsburgh. We usually play pretty well against Cincinnati, so I think we get that one. Baltimore's the tough one.